Greetings! Welcome to Terra Prime Live. Darth Arm is coming to you from the Terra Prime Training Hall. This is our weekly webcast for all things sabering. On the panel here, we've got actually 3 of our learners in exile. Our regulars, Eric and Gary, and joining us by phone, Neil Evans. So welcome all gentlemen to the panel. Hopefully we'll get some good stuff going. We're going to be doing conditioning for sabering, for the sport that we are doing here, and we're going to be kind of going over, because I get asked this a whole lot, of what are the best exercises for what we do. What kind of strength exercises do you recommend? So I'm going to recommend 2 exercises in this program right now. The push-up, essentially, which everybody knows, and the Turkish get-up. And both of these things are going to involve getting up and down off the floor. So, yeah. Anyway, so we kind of get on to it. Do we have any questions here to start us off? Or comments, anything like that?
Yeah, if I can just ask one thing. Something, when I knew obviously we were doing this show, that occurred to me was, what sort of physical condition would you say somebody would need to be in before they, before they took up sabering? Is there sort of a minimum level that they'd need to be at physically, before, in order to be able to do this safely?
Well, you should always check with your physician before starting anything new, just in case you have other, outstanding conditions or whatnot. So, yeah, I would just say that. Otherwise, generally speaking, as long as you don't overextend yourself, as long as you don't go beyond the point of pain, if you hurt yourself, you stop, get it checked out, and be smart about what you're doing. You can pretty much be in any.
It looks like Master Anonymous is having connection problems again. We'll just give it a moment here to see if it reconnects to him there. Anyway, yeah, gentlemen, do you think? I think he was saying anybody can of any physical shape can do sabering. Does anybody else have any comments or questions? I think that is a negative. All right. Yeah. Anybody want to see a push-up? I don't know. Can anybody see me? Looks like I'm a washout here. It's really sunny in London, Ontario today. Let me just gingerly see if I can do this here. All right. So, if Master Anonymous does pop in here anytime, that would be
Okay. Nice. Yes, I'm back. Sorry.
All right. Cool. I was just going to demonstrate a few push-ups.
Yes. So sorry. I'll probably be in and out. We're having some technical glitches over here, which we're supposed to have moved out of the system already. Because of the way people kind of intuitively like to do this kind of stuff, it does lend itself to a couple of risks, right? And one of those risks is overuse, which is like arthritis and little joint injuries and stuff like that. And that will usually come from kind of errant movement in the shoulder, kind of like this. You'll see a lot when they go here, right? And especially if they go the other way, right? They'll really shrug it up like that because they got to figure it. They got to exaggerate it that way. So what we're going to try to do is try to look at
All right. Well, it appears that we are once again having some technical issues here. Where was he going with that, gentleman?
Couldn't really see him, but I think he was saying something about not overstressing yourself and keeping your body in sync.
Excellent. And I like personally, I'd like to comment on what a good idea it is if you are unsure to go see your physician or doctor first, just to know it's always better safe than sorry. And yep, professional opinions and licensed opinions are always better than anything we can say here. So, all right, should I? You guys want me to do some push-ups?
Go for it.
All right. So, yeah, didn't drop the saber this time, but when the way they taught us to do push-ups here with TPLA is not to rush through it. I'm just going to do 10 here, but is to put the stress in as you go down, and almost focus on the muscles and the whole body as you go up and down, and it really does. You don't have to do 18,000 repetitions really fast. But yeah, I'm doing this from as many muscles as I can right now, trying to work the core. I do this a lot because I tend to drop my saber, and I don't know if it's a joke or if it's a rule with TPLA, but when you drop your saber, you have to do 10 push-ups. I'm probably just the brunt of a joke on that one, but I do it anyway. All right. So nice and slow, and yeah, you really feel that much more than say just going like a berserker and doing as many as you can fast. Slow and smooth. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. All right. Has Master Anonymous rejoined us here?
No, but Master Vornak has. Good evening, Master Vornak. Can you hear us?
Good evening. Yes, I can. Good evening, gentlemen.
Hello.
How are you all doing tonight? I got here just as you finishing my favorite exercise.
We're doing great. We've got a few technical issues at TPLA HQ with Master Anonymous, but other than that, we're fine.
Well, we're still broadcasting, and we're doing okay.
What
all do we have here tonight? I'm working this on my phone.
Well, he was Master Anonymous was going to talk about push-ups and Turkish get-ups, which I actually don't know anything about. Or maybe I do. I just
Turkish
call it.
get-up is possibly a Turkish get-up, as he's referring to it, is an exercise that you typically do with a kettlebell. We've been
Joined by Raul.
Can you all hear me?
We can indeed, sir.
Yes.
Okay. I'm getting a lot of lag, so I can't always tell if I'm speaking into the ether or if. Okay. I'll presume that you all can hear me. Chris, welcome.
Hello.
Okay. I've got lag. I'm gonna have to just listen because the camera is about 10 seconds behind any audio.
Okay, you're coming. Your audio is coming through very clearly.
Okay. I was saying the Turkish get-up that I believe Anonymous was going to talk about was a kettlebell exercise. And unfortunately, no one can see me, so I can't actually demonstrate it.
We might be able to help you on that one.
But it's an exercise where you start lying flat on your back with a kettlebell, and you hold it up in one arm and progressively stand up through a sequence of postures. It's a wonderful exercise for balance and for control and for strength building. And I think we might get a little demo here.
I have a Canadian kettlebell.
Okay, we'll go with the Canadian kettlebell.
It'll be nice on the campfire later too.
Now, let me stress that this exercise, I learned this from Master Anonymous, and so I learned it with a kettlebell, and so that's what I would suggest you use if you have one available. Since all we have right now is a log, we'll go with a log. It's round, it's heavy, it's wood.
Now, never having done one of these before, do I start with the kettlebell above my head, or?
In one hand, straight up from you, the other hand is on the ground.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you extend your arms straight up, and then you begin to sit up. You do support yourself with your other arm. You want to keep that thing pointing straight up in the air, though. So get it up over your head. It stays right there in that position relative to your body all the way through this exercise. And now you're going to get. Okay, you took about 3 steps out of how I understand it. And I'm going to have a hard time describing it. But I will do my best. So, you begin your sit-up. Use that other hand to support yourself when you're up. Now you're going to lift your right. You're going to let me see if I remember this properly. Lift your right hip up. No, I think I'm going to have to do this and then describe it.
Okay.
So while I'm remembering how this works, let's move on to something different. We can come back and revisit this when I remember how it works, or when Master Anonymous has joined us, because he will be able to. He'll probably be able to demo it in person.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's not rely on just my memory and trying to describe it verbally while you interpret it.
I'll keep the Canadian kettlebell around just.
So, push-ups and the Turkish get-up are great places to begin. They're wonderful exercises. You don't even need a weight to do the Turkish get-up. It is an exercise you can do without a weight. You get some additional benefits using a weight of some kind, but it's just a good exercise practice all on its own. Was there anything else that anyone had been addressing? Is there anything else that anybody wanted to bring to the table?
The other exercise that Mass Anonymous was going to focus on was the push-up. I was wondering if there were maybe different variants of it, and maybe different variations that gave different benefits.
Yes. There are probably as many variants on the push-up as anybody could have at this point. And the idea is it's a body weight resistance exercise, and by changing some of the variables, you can either increase or decrease the amount of resistance and how easy it is for you, and how much benefit you get out of it. Changing the angle will work different muscle groups, although generally you're going to be working your core and your upper torso and your arms. And some of the simplest variations are just to change your arm position. How close together are your hands? How far apart are they? So you can do widespread push-ups. You can do diamond push-ups where you have your hands right in front of your face and you're pressing your nose down onto your fingers. And you can do various types of incline and decline push-ups, working with your feet up on something higher. If you're working at a lower developmental level, trying to improve, you can do your push-ups leaning against a wall or leaning against a chair. This is hard to just talk about without being able to demonstrate it. You can also work towards developing one-arm push-ups. That's a lovely, challenging progression if you're not already there. And that's actually not a bad model to use. One-arm push-ups, most people begin by doing it against a wall, just to get used to the motion and pressure, and begin moving that rest point down. So you may start on a wall, move to a stool, then perhaps a chair, then perhaps a low couch. As you develop and improve, you eventually are able to be, yes. Thank you, Chris, giving us an example there in the background. Working your way lower and lower until the one-arm push-ups are possible directly on the floor. And then you can start lifting your feet up to make them more difficult. That progression works really well just for starting with regular push-ups. If your fitness level is at a point where they're too challenging to do straight on the floor, and even potentially too challenging to do using your knees as the pivot point instead of your feet, just start leaning up against something higher. Use the wall, use the chair, and progress until you were doing your push-ups on the floor. A great push-up variable, I think you were talking about it, sort of, in terms of going slowly and smoothly, is to do like a 10 count or 20 count push-up where you go down on a 10 or 20 count, pause at the floor, and then do a 10 or 20 count back up. So you have one long, slow push-up. That's a lot of fun. And by fun, I mean hard. Okay, I'm not getting any audio from you guys right now. I can see that you're reacting, so I presume that you can still hear me.
Absolutely.
Okay. Anybody want to jump in here with anything more? Any other thoughts, or anybody else want to demonstrate one of these variables? Plank push-ups, side plank push-ups, prison cell push-ups. You can Google push-ups and come up with a wide variety of variations.
Well, I can demonstrate some if you'd like. So that'd be good. Okay. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. At least I can.
Oh. Okay, yeah.
Although we can't see you.
Okay, I don't think I can do a one-handed push-up yet. How about an incline push-up?
Sounds good. You have a slide there, so you have the perfect tool to demonstrate some of these things.
One, two, three, four, five.
Okay. Lift your hips up. You want to keep your back straight down through your hips and your legs. You may find that easier to do if you're on the ground with just your feet up on the end of the slide.
Yeah, the opposite.
The flexibility of the slide is not helping. It's bouncing a bit when you do that.
Yeah, just glad it held me. So the back straight.
Yep.
And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Whew. Just after one of those, everything's shaking. Almost like the Mabu, the horseback.
Yeah. So I'm going to point something out, Eric. When you're able to watch the show later on, what you'll see is that as you went down, your hips began to drop down a little bit, so you began to take on a little U shape. This is for everybody's reference. You want to be able to put a board down your back and have it be flat in contact with your back down your shoulders, all the way down to your posterior. So keeping a flat, straight form. Yes. Well, I guess in this case we should say use your saber. You want to be able to feel that all the way down your back.
I got to do push-ups anyway. So.
For those who didn't catch that, the TPLA house rule is if you drop your saber, you have to do 7 push-ups.
Oh, it's just 7?
1 for each form. I do 10 just because that's what I like to do.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I've been doing 10 as well.
Excellent. Excellent.
And now we know what gluteal folds are for. Thank you.
I mean, to hazard a guess here, and say that one of the references that Anonymous talks about a lot is a man named Gray Cook, who's a trainer and has a variety of other skills and professions that I don't know off the top of my head. But on the off chance that we don't get to being able to demonstrate a good Turkish getup, if you go to YouTube and look up Gray Cook and Turkish getup, there will be some really fine examples of what a good Turkish getup looks like, and he will also be able to talk with a great deal of authority about all of the benefits for those. So I just wanted to touch back on that, because I'm going to get back to demoing that today, since I'm not on camera and it's too challenging for me to describe right now.
All right. Yeah,
So we've.
Yeah, you have a
Go
saber.
ahead.
Did you want to get into some squats, Master Warnock?
I think that would be a fine thing to do. Do you want to demonstrate some? I know you've been working on this.
Excellent. I do, because it's
So most of the time when people talk about squats, they think about the exercise with weights. And in this case, this is just a freestanding exercise, which you do just with your body. So it's a body weight resistance exercise. Again, has a lot of developmental benefits. And Eric is doing a great job showing us the type of posture you want to have and maintain all the way through.
I have a tendency to bend, like, stick my butt out.
A really good way to practice this is standing face first into a wall and with your arms up over your head, so that as you squat down, the wall keeps you in a position, keeps you in the proper position as you're going up and down. Also, after you've had a chance to do one or two there, I see Chris might be getting ready to do something there on the side. You can give us a demo there as well, Chris. Yep, hands up over your head, and that'll help. That will help keep your body in alignment. And what's hard to see here, because we're not seeing full side on, is something we've referred to a number of times, and that your upper torso and your shins, your lower legs, are roughly at the same angle. Welcome back.
Yes, sorry about that. And I don't know how long it's going to last here either, so we'll just play it by ear.
Well, while you've been gone, I managed to jump in probably just a few minutes after you vanished. So we've been talking extensively about push-ups. We touched on the Turkish get-up, but since I'm not on camera, we didn't have a good way to demo it. I referred everybody to Gray Cook. In the meanwhile, we did get you back on the line.
Yes, absolutely. Gray Cook is definitely a great resource.
And we started talking about squats.
Very good. Well, we'll go into the Turkish getup here, because actually I think the Turkish getup is going to be something that people will be able to do even before squats. So, okay. So let's see. Can you guys see me all right? I can't see myself, so I don't know if I'm in frame here.
Your video's coming in good. We see you from about waist up right now.
All right, there we are. Okay, so let me see if I can't get myself on camera here. Hopefully I won't lose connection when I'm this low. Or maybe I'll just... Okay, so the Turkish getup is it's kind of like an old-time strongman exercise, and it's usually done with one of these, a kettlebell, and I'll demonstrate it here for you. I'll go this way. The idea is pretty simple. You're just going to hold this weight up over your head, and then in a series of controlled movements, you're going to stand up and then lay back down. And that's pretty much it. So, they mentioned Gray Cook. And Gray Cook's got a really good book out called Kettlebells from the Ground Up. The guy I mentioned a lot on the show, Mark Chung. They both kind of wrote it together. It's probably one of the best basic books to learn this particular exercise. Now, the way they do it, you don't have to do it with weight. So if you're not that fit or what have you, start with no weight. You call it the naked getup. You can keep your clothes on. So basically what you're going to do is hold your arm up over your head. And where this is going to come in and sabering in your shoulder is that if you notice, and I'll do it without weight. It's a little difficult, but what I'm trying to do is keep it as straight up as possible. I don't want it to incline one way or the other this way. So I'm constantly trying to go straight up like this. And every movement that I'm doing is a little strategy to keep it going, right? Now what happens with the shoulder is you see, even though the arm stays in the same place, the shoulder has to move dynamically to accommodate the movement in the shoulder, or the movement in the body, right? And so that's where you're going to get most of the benefit out of this exercise, right? So the exercise breaks down like this. You're gonna lay down, and you're gonna have one knee bent. Whichever knee's bent, that's the hand that's gonna go up. So we're here. We're then going to roll up to our elbow on this hand right here. And we're going to push up to our palm and brace ourselves. Try not to let your shoulders shrug. Keep it down. Good. Then we're going to hike up our hips. Just like that. Bend this leg to bring it to about the hand here with the knee. And then I'm going to just stand up into kneeling, or sit up into kneeling. At that point, I can then reposition this leg how I want it, push my heel directly into the ground, and come up. Right? And then basically you just reproduce the process in reverse when going the other way. So that's the basics of it. Now you can do half of it. Just a half get-up is fine, okay? And you can actually do little bits of this motion in isolation just to kind of get the feeling, right? Here. Getting this really good before you go to a heavy weight is probably the best idea. One of the best things here, of course, is we can use our saber. And I keep losing my own video feed here, so I can't quite see if I'm in frame. So
you're in frame. You're fine.
And hold it by the end so that you're balancing it like this. Then, if you push it forward, you see how it drops. Go back, drops that way here. So I can keep it right here and try to maintain that nice vertical position here and just balance it. But you see, my arm is kind of dynamically balancing underneath it. If I want a better feeling, we just hold it up this way so that the hilt is on the top, and then anything that we go over this way, we can feel it pulling the arm that way, feel it pulling the arm that way, and then our bodies can correct for that. Right? And we're going through here. Now, if you do a half get-up right to here, you just flip right back down, come down here, go right here. With the saber, you can switch in your hands, like that. And then up. Here. Down like that. So that's the basics of it. Well, that's pretty much all there is to it. the best thing about that exercise is how dynamic it is. It is a whole body exercise. People have noticed that their bench press will improve when they're doing it. So the amount of power you can produce with your chest and your inferior compartments definitely goes up. It's surprisingly taxing on the body. If you only really have to do a couple of them, even if you don't even have any weight. When you get to weight, you want to go for like a kettlebell or a homemade kettlebell. And a homemade kettlebell is pretty much anything with a handle on it and weight in it. So if you don't have a kettlebell, you can't get heavy weight. You can get a bag, a grocery bag, something like that. Put a bunch of books in it, and then as you're holding it, and I'll do it with the kettlebell here. You're going to hold it like this. Okay. Now with the kettlebell, there's a lot of weight there. So what it's going to want to do is it's going to pull your wrist back. You do not want that to happen. You want to support the bell with this part of your arm. Okay. I don't know if you can see that. Okay. So you do not want this. You want a nice, good punching position. At first, this will be very uncomfortable. Right, even painful. Right, you will work through it. You can get through it by putting wristbands and stuff on it, but there's really no other way around it. You got to wait till your arm gets nice and conditioned. So, but if you do it with any other thing, you just don't want that weight to bend your wrist back. Right? You do want it hanging off the back of your arm, right? Because that's a very, very natural weight. And since it's off-center, you can feel disturbances in that vertical position very, very well, what we call proprioceptive vertical, right? The body's ability to find straight up and down. And it's the thing that makes avalanches so deadly, or getting caught in a riptide or rapids. You get turned around and you lose your sense of proprioception, or proprioceptive vertical, and you might start swimming down, you might start digging down, whatever. So it becomes very, very tricky that way. And if we are inactive for any length of time, what can happen is we lose that sense of proprioceptive vertical. And this is a really, really good way of bringing it back. So that's pretty much the basics. Do we have any comments, questions? None?
Now that you've seen it, gentlemen?
Extremely hard to believe. All right, then pop quiz. Who's ready for a pop quiz then?
Everybody understands it perfectly. I've done it, and I know I don't understand it perfectly.
Okay, well, we'll have to. Nothing, really?
There we go. I couldn't actually see the demo. My video not working on my end.
Oh.
But when you were holding up, not really demonstrated either. My Canadian kettlebell doesn't have a handle. But what was it? I guess like I couldn't really see it though. Did you have the handle in your hand here, and it was on the back, or was it in front, or was it straight up?
You're going to have it like this. Okay? It's going to be off of the back of your arm. Right? Now, there's a very, very easy reason why you don't want it going in front. And why? Can anybody answer me that question? Why don't you want this over here?
The weakness of the thumb pulling straight through.
Right. Can you lift 36 pounds with your thumb? That's what you would be doing. You're not going to do it that way. You're going to hold it off of this way. Now, the interesting thing is when I bring it down and I start swinging it up like this, and I start moving it around, it's actually pretty easy for me to use this because it's weighted like so many things that I use every day, like suitcases, milk jugs, buckets, bags of rock salt, anything with a handle on it, pretty much, right? And so when I mean, this is a lifting motion right here when we're doing these here, right? Now later on we can get to things where we're balancing the bell on top of here and doing. You can do get-ups like that as well. Very difficult, very challenging, but obviously everybody likes a challenge every now and then, so that's a very good thing. All right.
I brought two pieces of exercise equipment with me, aside from all of my swords and sabers when I moved down here. My push-up handles and my kettlebell. And
there you go.
They've been perfect. They've been everything I've needed.
Yep. And push-up handles are one thing. If you don't have push-up handles, you don't have anything like that, you can take a couple of bricks and hold them like that, or just do them on your fists, right? If you don't have a good conditioned fist yet, pad out the ground underneath it. But do it on your fist. Now, what that's going to do is it's going to train that same wrist position, and this is where I wanted to kind of tie the push-up and the Turkish get-up together. And I don't know what we covered already in the push-up, so I'm just going to kind of go on assuming that we covered some stuff. So stop me if I go too far. But when we're going through a push-up, right, we've got two phases, right? We've got the lowering phase and we've got the out phase, right? Now this phase here, mechanically, what's happening here in the arm, right, is like a punch, right? It keeps everything in line. Now when I'm on my fists, like this, I can't really bend my wrist wrong. Otherwise, I fall. And in fact, if I have my fist down like that, it's almost, if not impossible, for me to do this sometimes, which is exactly what we want to avoid. We want to try to keep this pretty smooth, like there. We don't want to see a whole lot of angle. Okay? Now that's the same thing when we're using this, right? We don't need a lot in the wrist. The movement is taken up by just a little bit of wrist motion, and just a little bit, actually just a little bit of motion everywhere in the body, and it kind of adds up to that. So, okay. All right. Anything else? Who's next?
Yeah. One thing on the fist push-ups. Sorry, Mr. Mark. One thing on the fist push-ups. What would you say would be the proper sort of positioning relative to your shoulders, round, etc., so that you can get all the way down? Because that's something I've never been able to quite figure out.
Well, you get all the way down by coming to here, right? You keep your arms in nice and tight, and you're going to move your arm like this. You see? So that when I do the push-up, I'm coming down like this, and pushing up through. You see? So if I'm down here, I go down, come back up. That's that same motion right there. Okay? So you want to be like right here. Now, if you're having problems figuring out what that position is, just lay down on your stomach, hold your hands up here, pull them straight back into right next to your chest or your armpits, and then put your fists in, put your toes in, lift your knees up off the ground, suck in a little bit of air, and push up. Just like that. All right? Rinse, repeat. So yeah, there. We don't necessarily want to be out so wide, especially on a fist push, because if you start doing that, you're going to start holding yourself up like that, which is not good. So we want to keep it real nice and straight, and like that. So I mean, even if we're doing a barehanded technique, we're trying to keep that motion there. Now notice that this trains all of this, and it trains all of this stably. And then the Turkish get-up takes all of that kind of stuff and then starts moving it around in a functional way. So if we're looking at it, a punch is not necessarily coming directly from a push-up. It's coming from really the Turkish get-up, because what I'm doing is that. Boom. I'm just doing it on the ground, and the resistance that I'm feeling is the kettlebell underneath. Right? Now the reason I don't actually do a punch like that is because I only need to be strong and tense right at the end there. When I'm throwing a punch, I'm relaxed, I explode, I'm relaxed, boom, I contract, and then I come back again. But in between, you're just loose, right? Boom, boom, boom. Two little explosions, bang, bang, right? So we keep the arm steady up like this so that we can move dynamically around it. Weighting yourself, punching against resistance, punching in water, actually will not make you faster, will not make you more powerful, right? Because you're going to be going up against resistance that you do not find regularly. The only time it will make you stronger is temporarily if you do it for like a half an hour beforehand and then immediately get out of the water or whatever and go punch on a bag, right? Because now your nervous system is like kind of is reset. But within a half an hour after that, it's going to come back to normal, right? And it's going to find that balance again. And that's a good thing, because if it didn't do that, we'd be in big trouble. So yeah, that would be my advice in that one. Anyone else?
I don't
One
have
of the areas
any.
that we talked about.
Oh, go ahead, Chris.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I don't have any weights at home, and I don't have a gym membership or anything. If I were to go out to the store and buy a kettlebell, what would be a good weight for me to start with?
Well, generally speaking, you're gonna the beginning weight under supervision is for males is 16 kilos, which is about 35 pounds, or 35.2 pounds. So, so we've got that going. But you can go a little bit lighter. I would not go anywhere below, I would say, 12 kilos for a guy, because you want enough weight that you can feel what's happening. You know, you don't want it too light, because then you can kind of cheat through the motion. If you have it just heavy enough that you can just barely lift it, you can just barely get through there, that's a lot of stuff. So. Obviously, you have to check. You have to go by your own physiology and your own feeling, test them out at the thing. When you're starting the get-ups, though, start them without weight. When you do start them with weight, and I'll show you here. As you're starting, and you get a weight, right? Don't just immediately start doing the get-up. Ease into it. It's a technique. This is like a martial arts technique. It's like the ultimate conditioning secret move, right? You could have a little manual on it. So what you're going to do is, which side should I be? I'll lift it up here, and then what I can do is underneath the weight, I can first turn my head both ways. Hopefully you can see it. Just now, a little bit. So I can look both ways. That's all nice and dandy. Then I'm just going to start trying to roll up to this elbow. Right? And that might be difficult enough for me. And then I come back down. Right? Every time I do that, my body is finding a new pattern, right? And it's getting better at it. And that's the deal with the get-up, is that it's very important that you do it correctly, and it's something that you're going to do and you're going to get better at, and better at, and you'll do more weight, not just how strong you are, but how much your technique improves. You'll probably actually improve or go up in weight faster just by improving your technique than merely raw strength gain, if that makes any sense.
Yes, it does.
Okay. Very good. All right. Now you're going to say something before.
Yeah. We'd been going back over push-ups too, and there was a question about the variety of push-ups that are available. What are some good variations on the basic push-up, especially as pertains to our topic tonight?
Oh yeah. Okay. So variations of the push-up. You can pretty much do anything you want with the push-up as long as you keep a couple of things correct. And that's a good stable core. So we don't want to see any kind of, weird, peeling off of the ground. We want to look nice and good. Now even when we do, and I can show you something here, Hindu push-ups or dive bombers are there sometimes called. I know them as Hindu push-ups because I know them from Hindu wrestling, which is a pretty rough sport. And they have incredible flexibility, and this is one of the basic exercises. But that's more of an advanced technique. So we want to keep the core and the spine nice and stable throughout the whole thing. The other thing is we want to get good rotation in this plane right here of motion in the shoulder. We don't need a whole lot right here with the push-up. What this is going to be doing is going to be rotating all of this, which is going to create a lot more force than if we're doing this, right? Now what will happen is most people just start way out here wide because it kind of takes advantage of a bunch of physiological things, physical things and all that, right? But we actually want to come in like this, right? Be like that. Now, you can, if you have a kettlebell, use the kettlebell like this to do push-ups on, right? You can use one hand here so that you have a different type of thing going on. One hand is higher there, and you're creating dynamics in your body. Lifting one leg, lifting one-arm push-ups, that kind of thing. The one-arm push-up is a really great thing to try to get because it can be done by just about anybody. It just takes a lot of practice. And it's the same. You do it the exact same way as you do with a regular push-up, which is you're going to start kind of on the ground and go from their end position up, because that's probably the more difficult one as far as strength goes. And then after that...
Gentlemen, I need to step away for a moment. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right, so yes, that would be that. So there's lots of variations you can do. One-legged, where you lift one leg like this. You can stagger, walk, right? Any of these variations, Spider-Man's, this kind of thing. Crawling is really where it's at. It's going to be really emphasizing that part of human movement, that kind of crawling, climbing action right there. And so it's going to be a very, very good core routine. Stop doing your sit-ups. Don't bother doing crunches. Do push-ups. You're going to get more bang for your buck as well. All right. Okay, so what's up next? What do we got? Any questions? I think we've answered everything from the internet.
Yeah, it's taken me a little while to sort of internalize some of the things you showed with regard to the Turkish get-up. One thing that has struck me is where you're generating the power from to go from one position to the next. What's the correct part of the body to push or pull from to actually get from one position to the next? In particular, rolling up onto the elbow.
Yes. I would use your body.
Yeah.
This is the beauty of the Turkish get-up. You will not be able to do it wrong. That's why you have to use enough weight. If you do it wrong, you're not going to get up. What's going to happen is you're just going to lie there and go, right? Or the things are going to fall over to the side, right? It's what we call a self-regulating exercise, like a face-the-wall squat. You do that. The thing about it is, and that's what I mean by it's a dynamic thing, there is no one spot that you're going to do. Now, depending on where you're having difficulty and why you're having difficulty, there may be different corrections that you can take. But that's going to be based on person to person to person to person, right? Because the Turkish get-up is it's a full chain exercise. You're going from head to toe. I put it above the squat because you're doing a squat in it. You're doing a kneeling, and then you're standing up from a squat, and that's essentially a one-legged squat. And our bodies work on that kind of axis. So we have an asymmetry in our body because that's the way we produce power. We've got this cross pattern right here. So this is a jab, even if I'm doing it with my right hand, and then this is a cross because I have this cross pattern. I can rotate my feet, my hips, my shoulders come through and accelerate this hand so that it's coming through much faster, and that's why a cross is considered to be more powerful than a jab because, well, it is, and there's very real reasons for that. The Turkish get-up is difficult in that way because it doesn't necessarily yield the same type of gratification that bodybuilding protocol might, where you're getting chiseled and all this stuff. You're not even going to be doing a whole lot of reps. If you're just starting out with this exercise, even if you're doing a half get-up or a partial get-up where you're only doing a portion of it, just a little bit, just a couple of movements from it, do only 2 or 3 on either side. Don't go any more than that because your body is definitely working harder than you think it is. And I've had a lot of people overdo it and then pay for it the next day. Obviously, it's not going to kill you, whatever. But just be careful. Don't go too heavy, but also don't go too light. Right? Don't be afraid of the weight. Like I said, for average males, 16 kilos is generally considered starting weight. 12 for very, very, very beginners, depending on where your fitness level is and your strength. Now, just the act of pulling the bell and putting it up, and I'll show you that, which is this way. I'm going to put the bell next to me like this. I'm going to roll to my side. I'm going to put my hand into the handle, put my other hand here, and then just roll to my back. And then I'm going to use both hands to press it up, just like that. And then when I'm here, so now I can practice kind of rolling to that elbow, right? Now, the roll is a roll. As long as you roll, there's very little effort that is needed. If you're going to try to sit up right into this, never going to happen. So you got to roll to the side, and then get your elbow underneath. Okay? Now when you put it down, you're going to do the same thing. Put your hand here on the bell. Bring it down to your chest. Roll to your side. Let go. And then you're done. Okay? The exercise is not over until the weight is settled on the ground and resting comfortably. All right? As long as this weight is in the air, you should be working, you should be controlling it, right? Because the moment you stop, it begins to control you. So, yes. So there you go. We used to call these the Russian home gym. They're pretty much all you need. Once I got my set, I have a 16 kilo and a 24 kilo, and between those, there's really nothing I can't really get a good strength workout in. And it's going to be a strength workout that's going to really accentuate the dynamic motions that I'm going to be using in sabering.
I'm going to jump in very briefly here, if I may.
Excuse me?
I just need to jump in and let you know I have to take off. The Wookiee Express just delivered my deep-fried crate wing dumplings, so I have to get going.
Okie doke.
So, it's been a pleasure to be on the show again, gentlemen. Have a wonderful weekend.
All right, see you later, Vornak. All right, so anyway, all of this shoulder business, right? We're here. If we're using Makashi, we've got lots of shoulder. I mean, how many people out there, what do we have here doing? Well, actually, everybody but Neil is going to be doing some sort of one-handed style, and I bet you're going to be learning the idea of sword arm pretty quick. Right?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Sword arm, right? And it will get tired. Right? And like people ask a lot about, like, should you practice on the other side of your body? Sure, right? But you don't need to. At the very beginning, I would probably recommend not, right? Because it might just confuse you, right? And in fact, most of the time it does, right? What you want to do is get really good on over here, and then you just switch your hand over, right? And once you get over here, and you can see there's even a difference in my body mechanics when I'm using it on this hand over here and this hand over here, right? And that's because our brains and our motor system, which resides in our spinal column, see us as one thing. They don't see us as a bivalve, as a mirror image, right, as we kind of tend to think of ourselves, right? Everything is a dynamic, and everything is working in concert with itself. So when one foot is back, the other foot is forward, and there's our walking gait, and there's our arm swing. And all of this works with the physics of the gravitational field of Earth that we live within, right? Why we stand upright, all of that, right? But if you are terribly deconditioned on one side of your body, which is what will happen when you, after a while of practicing, especially one-handed sword play, right, is you definitely develop a sword arm. And then when you switch hands, you feel a little awkward, right? Now, a lot of times people kind of say that, well, it's just the technique, you got to get it over there. And really, it's not even the technique. The technique is trained over there. You just have to you just have to switch over everything, because while your body position changed, your view of everything did not, right? So as I'm walking forward, if I do honor stash right-handed, and then I do it left-handed, I have to remember to change which side I'm on, right? Otherwise, I'll end up, even doing it left-handed, doing it weird, right? And maybe not even noticing it, right? So that's that. All right. Okay, well, we're coming to the end. We got any last-minute questions, comments, anything like that?
I have a quick question, if I could.
Sure.
As far as the training and everything goes, we've gone over all the basics and such. If someone has a like an injury, like a knee or a shoulder or an elbow or something like that, that's kind of bothering them, if there is an issues like that, is there any kind of simple things they can do to to make sure they don't worsen the injury, or try to kind of help that healing there?
Yeah, I mean, it really. I can't really give specific advice out, because it's really going to depend on the injury. But if you have one of those injuries, make sure that you're cleared for activity. Again, make sure that your doctor says it's okay. If it's a knee thing, we're going to be really careful to keep it really steady, right? And again, these are exercises that will help you do that. There's not a whole lot of knee jeopardy in a push-up, but there is a lot of knee stability trained in a push-up, a lot of hamstring stability. All of this stuff translates to it. So keeping it simple, not necessarily going all crazy saying, well, I got to strengthen my knee, right? People get bad knees, and the first thing they do is they go hit the leg extension, right? Unfortunately, they should be on the leg curl, but really now you shouldn't be doing either of those. They should probably be doing deadlifts, because it's this stuff right here which stabilizes our knee most, right? This stuff decelerates our leg, right? It helps produce a little bit of power in the extension, but really what it's really good at is lengthening in a controlled squat where we're lowering something down, eccentric contraction. And so I would say check with your doctor. There's probably not anything specifically I can say. Don't work through pain in that sense. You want to have pain-free movement. If you're starting with the get-up, just go extremely slowly. Don't use any weight. You know, then use some weight so that you can feel it and everything like that. And just take your time. And just slow and steady wins the race in this case. So, all right. Well, it looks like we're out of time here. I apologize for my my loss of feed, but I was able to get a last-minute shuttle back over to HQ here. So, from all of us here at Terra Prime, thank you for tuning in. Thank you to our panel. Thank you for Vornak for joining us from Gliensum. Have a great weekend. Stay fit. Stay healthy. May the force be with you, and happy sabering.